Well, hello, everybody. This is Diego Contreras bringing you the final edition of the Coffee Channel with MSC LT Jordan as part of our program, Coffee Breaks. It's been an exciting 5-week journey for all of us, and today I'm very excited to be joined by our friends over at the Center for Coffee Research and Education under the Borlaug Institute right here at Texas A&M. More specifically, I'd like to introduce you to Rodrigo Chavez, project coordinator at the Coffee Center and founder of What's the Buzz local roasting company, Donna Lewis, the administrative coordinator for the center, and Eric Brenner, program coordinator at the Borlaug Institute. Rodrigo, Donna, and Eric, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. We're looking forward to this.
All right. Well, I want to hop right into the questions that we have prepared for the Coffee Center to all of our viewers at home. I want to start off. Can you talk a little bit about the center's founding in 2016 and what it was originally designed to do?
Sure, I'll take that one, I suppose. I've actually been a part of the center since it began, so it's been a journey. So we actually were established in September of 2016. It was in a response to the growing education need in the industry for coffee. And if you don't know, our mission is actually to improve the quality and supply of coffee globally through research and capacity building. And our original vision was actually to become the premier scientific center in the world dedicated to the advancement of research and development related to coffee to improve the quality and ensure sustainability. And we're actually, as you said, housed in the Borlaug Institute, which fits nicely because most of our work is actually international. And also we are wanting to do more opportunities for educating the community and the students and just being a part of that aspect of the coffee industry. So.
Well, you talked a lot about, becoming a premier research institute, but also having an impact both locally and abroad through a lot of education. I think that speaks a ton to the center's two main pillars, that being research and education. Could you expand a little bit about what those core values mean and what initiatives you'll have in place to support those efforts?
I guess I'll take that one. There's actually 4 core values. We do research, development, education, and services. In this particular case, we're talking about research and education. So when it comes to research, I would say we have one research currently being done by a PhD student who she's trying to demonstrate how soil can affect coffee flavor. So that research is being done in Capucas in Honduras, but also we're utilizing or introducing a different type of research, which a mix of research and education, which includes soil testing. It includes the utilization of biochar and the usage of multi crops along the coffee plantation, and different types of shades that can be provided by trees that produce fruits, but also woody trees that can be eventually harvested and provide additional income to the farmers. So the research is not necessarily being conducted on a lab, but is more of a on-site type of research that then is moved into a lab. The project core that we have in all 3 countries is also a research, but also an educational part, because it deals with new coffee varieties for those countries, which is Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. And the coffee industry has been severely affected throughout the years by the coffee leaf rust, which is a fungus that inhibits photosynthesis. Therefore, leaves are dropped the crop, the fruits are dropped, and then the plant basically becomes on a survival mode. So they drop just about dry skeletons. So these hybrids are trees that can tolerate uh, the leaf rust, but also they have really good cupping qualities. So they cup and taste very good. They're also about 30% higher in production than regular coffee. And the other quality is that they are premature. So they start producing coffee at year 2 instead of year 3 or 4. So that's part of the research and validation that we're doing with this particular plant. And when it comes to education, well, we have a class during the fall that's done by Dr. Cisneros, in which is mainly coffee, but it's also coffee byproducts, tea, chocolate. So we also have training partners at the 3 countries in which we do a pretty big educational component on, for example, proper usage of the coffee byproducts, such as the cascara, utilizing it as an energy source instead of to minimize or mitigate the uncontrolled harvesting of wood that's utilized for cooking purposes. So there's I'll say a vast range of mix between education and research components that we oversee at the center.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Definitely sounds like a lot. You definitely talked a lot about developing specialty coffees, improving the quality of the coffee from cupping to tasting. But you also talked a little bit about improving those value supply chains and really, working with the communities that help to grow that specialty coffee. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of specialty coffee and how the quality of the coffee and those communities are directly linked?
Sure, I'll take that one. One of the important differentiations is that specialty coffee is part of the whole spectrum. It's not only the only thing we do. It's for those who don't know, specialty coffee it's a coffee that is cupped with 80 or higher in the scale from 1 to 100. And those coffees usually sell at a higher price because of its quality. Nevertheless, many farmers are involved with the process of commercial coffee. There's other certifications like fair trade or organic. So even though we teach people about the importance of specialty coffee, our objective is to teach people about the importance of the whole value chain from the producer all the way to the consumer, and teach them that there is a big market for different niches, I would say, specialty coffee being one of them. Unfortunately for farmers, there is very little opportunity for value added for products. So specialty coffee could be one of them. Specialty coffee, one of the good things about specialty coffee is that the roasters is able to go to an origin, like origin farm, and it's very specific. If I could put it into a context, it would be the equivalent of craft beer. Now you have the more commercial beer, but now it has developed into a more specific craft way of preparing beer. The same thing is with the specialty coffee, and from the value chain perspective, you have the farmer, the green coffee buyer, the roaster, the barista, all the way to the consumer. What makes the specialty coffee so important is that at each link of the value chain, you have very specific things that you have to do to be able to sell that specialty coffee.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, cannot deny the quality of the product. I got the chance to taste some of this quality coffee when I went to visit the coffee center. And let me tell everybody at home, it was delicious. Eric, you had talked about a lot of work that you do with the producers, a lot of these producers being in and out international places, specifically all over the world, but really in the Northern Triangle. Can you talk about the importance of places like the Northern Triangle, Indonesia, and Africa, how those are important to the global coffee ecosystem, and how your development and research efforts are helping those communities and producers around the world?
Okay, I'll take that one. I think the most important thing to understand is that there's two main ways of cultivating coffee. One is shade grown, and the other one is directly under the sun. Shade grown coffee yields better quality of coffee. It actually is grown at higher altitudes, in which you can obtain also a higher density of the coffee fruits that we call coffee beans. And this yields better quality. So if they're sorted out and processed correctly, then you can actually end up with what we mentioned before, specialty coffee. But nevertheless, it's very important to recognize the difference between shaded and non-shaded, because shaded coffee helps protect the ecosystem overall. With simple things like trees that provide nesting grounds for the birds who migrate from the north to the south, and the proper feeding of those birds that would not be available if the Northern Triangle countries would change the way they grow their coffee, and if they would do it just like Brazil, who has no shade basically, there would be no nesting grounds or any food source for those birds who migrate from the north to the south, as an example. The other interesting thing is that they also provide the soil from being eroded, not only by the rain, but by improper agricultural practices. So it really provides a better general ecosystem from those countries. So we have also a component in that sense with those three countries that I mentioned before, on how to properly manage the crops in order to avoid in order to avoid damage to the soil, but also in order to improve soil fertility and nutrients by using organic methods or any other method that will help rebuild organic matter into the soils. Different countries are doing the same thing in Africa or other places, but we have to remember that they all come from the same, what we call coffee belt, which is also known as the poverty belt or as a conflict belt. They all have this, all these countries have the same general complex difficulties. So there's a lot of poverty, a lot of needs. And in the specific case of Central America, it creates a really high end type of coffee. So we need to make sure people not only keep producing this high end coffee, but also they don't migrate because of the lack of the opportunity, which seems to be the case for the past few years. So the diversification of the agriculture plays a big role, not only from the ecological point of view, but also by being able to offer other jobs and other alternatives to the coffee growers and their families, so they don't have to leave or stop doing what they normally do. So we see it in a different perspective, in which it's a bigger picture. It's not just coffee, but it's much more. We do entrepreneurship. We do, like I said, we're working with beekeeping and different things to expand opportunities for those families as well.
So this may seem very intimidating to the viewer at home. You're talking a lot about these big research efforts, development efforts around the world, but I know that you do a lot of work here on campus as well. Can you talk about opportunities for involvement? I know you brought up courses earlier, but how might an undergraduate or a graduate student get directly involved with the center?
So yeah, we did mention earlier, we have the one course that we actually offer in the fall. It's Dr. Cisneros' class. It's for processing coffee and high value food crops. And they get to do things like see coffee roasting and take a visit to an actual roastery in town, and just a wide range of topics that they get covered. And it's funny because we have so many different like majors, sorry, that's the word, that actually take the course, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know all of this about coffee, and it just changes their whole aspect on it. So there's that, and then we're actually in the process of getting a new lab together on campus. It's going to be very convenient for the center and for the students. We will have not only that's where our research will be done, but we are looking at having little mini trainings. We'll have like little sessions where people can come and just get a little quick demo on how to make coffee certain ways. And we also in the past have offered like a 2-day course to where we go over the whole thing of the seed to the cup. And we're trying to get this 2-day course where it's in like little mini sessions also, to where it's a lot easier for students to take time out between classes and whatnot to actually come and attend, and also the community as well. So those are kind of what we have to offer right now.
Okay, definitely a lot going on. I might have to check out that class myself. You might see me in there in the fall. So our viewers at home have spent the last 4 weeks learning about the world of coffee, from going from the seed all the way to the plant to their cup, and how their consumer behaviors directly impact the communities that they're supporting through buying specialty coffees. What closing advice would you have for the people at home who want to be much more conscious and ethical consumers of coffee?
Sure, I'll take that one. One of the stigmas, for lack of a better word, is when you hear the word coffee snob. And it's kind of dicey because there's a reason for it. There's a reason why low quality coffee versus high quality coffee. It's a lot of work. Many of the millions of farmers that work in coffee, they live on very small revenues. And with situations that Rodrigo was saying, when you have rusts that decimates plantations, we're talking that the majority of these farmers, they have less than an acre plantation. So anything that affects their crop, it's catastrophic. And this has helped migration from Central America, especially to the US. And by understanding the value chain of coffee, there is so many things, and it is that when you're paying for coffee, it's not that it's because snobbery or anything like that. There is a lot of that is going into the process, from the picking, from the roasting, even at home. If you get it from a store, if you make it at home, you become your own barista. There is a methodology for it. Is where you can definitely, as we have explored this new specialty coffee niche, where we can be able to taste the notes from that origin. It is very complex. I would say it's even more complex than wine. So when people are paying that maybe higher amount for that coffee, for that quality, they need to understand that that is going to a farmer in Central America or Asia or Africa. And by acknowledging that quality translates for these farmers into livable wages, it is very important. So in addition, for us at the Institute to help farmers with research for great technologies and better training, it's also important for us to teach the public that there is a big difference. I grew up with people saying, well, coffee's coffee, and it's really not. I mean, you can taste the difference between one cup and another, and you fellas, when you came to the Borlaug Institute and we did a demonstration for you, we show you the why. You were able to taste the difference, but you saw why. Even just changing certain techniques can make the same coffee taste completely different. So, but if we are able to teach, which is one of our objectives, to teach people that, they'll understand more and more. There's a reason why you're paying that extra amount at the store for that certified coffee, for the fair trade, for the organic, for the specialty. And even if you're just the kind of person that likes commercial coffee, it's important to understand that this is the livelihood for millions of people, and it has to be, and more in the value chain, not the producers, but the companies that buy the coffee, they are treating the coffee growers more like a partner. There's more engagement into the value chain because they understand that these farmers live on very low profits, and it's that, unfortunately, one of the things that the farmers continue to struggle with is that the prices of coffee have stayed relatively small throughout the last couple of years, and it's a hardship for them. So by understanding everything that takes place and us knowing that that extra price we pay is for a reason.
I think you summed it up perfectly. I think there's an entire world of coffee out there, and it's okay to be a little bit snobby to impact a good cause, if I could use those words. I want to thank everyone at the Coffee Center for the work that you do impacting lives of coffee around the world. I want to thank you for helping with this program, and I want to thank you at home for tuning in to this episode of Coffee Channel. From everyone here at the MSC LT Jordan Institute, thanks for tuning in to the Coffee Channel.
Thank you.
That was pretty good.